Hey everyone, Yvonne here. And as someone that used Webflow for many different years, I remember how tough it was when I was first starting out. That caused me to make a crazy amount of mistakes, and I want to make sure that you guys can avoid them. Today, we're going to go through top 5 mistakes that beginners make when starting their Webflow journey and how to avoid them. So let's jump into Webflow. Now, to kick things off, the first mistake that comes to mind is not understanding how classes work. At the end of the day, quite honestly, this is going to be one of the biggest pillars of Webflow. Pretty much what this allows us to do is to bulk edit major parts of the website. Thus, understanding how classes work is going to be really important. Now, when it comes to these changes, instead of us needing to do it one by one, we can go ahead and select an element and see specific classes that are associated with it. Now, for this one specifically, is going to have hero heading class associated with it. That means for any elements that have the hero heading class attached to it, every single change that I make to this design specifically is going to affect every single other element on the rest of the website. And this will be crucial as your website gets bigger and bigger, where you cannot change elements one by one. So here, let's go through an example. As we can see here, this heading right over here has a class hero heading associated with it. Now right under, there's another heading, but it has the hero subheading class associated with it. So currently, if I make changes to one of them, it's not going to impact the other. But if we want both the headings to work together, all we got to do is switch out the classes. So instead of this hero subheading here, we just got to change it to hero heading. And once we go ahead and select the hero heading, as we can see, they have the exact type of font, they have the exact color, and all the properties that are going to be associated with the hero heading are going to apply to this one as well. And check it out. If we go ahead and change the color on one of them, it's going to change the color on the other. And this is going to be applicable for every single element that has the hero heading class associated with it. This feature is going to make it much easier to ensure that your website is going to be uniform and consistent throughout. Now, the second mistake that I see people often make is not compressing their images. Now, let's think about it. If the image is bigger, it'll probably take a lot longer to load. Thus, if your website opens up and the pictures are still loading, that looks really unprofessional and can cause people to leave. Thus, we want to make sure that the images are compressed, and here's how we do it. All we got to do is click on the image tab right over here and expand the options that are available for us. Now, for example, if we want to go ahead and compress this JPEG right over here, all we got to do is select it and press the compress button. And once compressed, this is going to make it much more smaller, and it's going to allow it to load much more efficiently. This is going to be extremely important as your website grows and a lot more things are going to need to load. And trust me, there's nothing more off-putting than a website that looks like it came out of the 1900s. Now, the third mistake that people often make is reversing the order when it comes to optimization for your website. Some folks will go ahead and optimize for the mobile first and will work their way backwards when it comes to the desktop. In reality, we got to do it the other way around, of starting from the desktop and optimizing for the mobile devices as we go down. If you start off with mobile and work backwards, then you need to readjust each part of it, which can be super annoying to do. If you begin optimizing the website for mobile use and you start working backwards for the desktop, it's going to take a lot of readjustments, which can be super annoying. Thus, we're going to make sure that we optimize the website for the desktop first, as it's going to help a lot with the sizing. And now the fourth mistake that people make quite often is designing the actual website on Webflow. When it comes to design, it's going to be a lot easier to design on platforms like Figma, which is going to be a much easier drag and drop design solution. And we want to do that since Webflow is more than just a drag and drop solution, thus it can be a little more challenging when we want to change some of the basics. As we can see with Figma, it can be much easier to make the static version of your website first and then make it later in Webflow. And with any changes that involve design and involve any drag and drop activities, it's going to be much more efficient to do it on Figma first. And after we go ahead and have the final draft on Figma ready to go, just like this, we can go ahead and implement any of the technical changes on Webflow. And the final mistake that I see people frequently make is not using enough of internal Webflow tools. A big advantage of Webflow is that a lot of the tools out there, like the nav bar or the grid, are already built in. So all we got to do is drag and drop, and then we can actually edit them after. And you could do it from scratch with other assets. However, it's going to take you much longer to do so. Let me show you an example. With the built-in tools that we have right over here, it's going to make it much easier for us to get the default structure right away. So as an example, let's add another nav bar to the mix. All we got to do is scroll down, find a nav bar right over here, and drag it where we want it. And from here, we can customize it to have it exactly how we want it. And as we can see here, another nav bar appeared with all the basic features that we're looking for, like some buttons and the labels that we can actually click. And in order for us to customize it, all we got to do is just double click it, and we can go ahead and edit specific elements that are part of the nav bar. So for example, if we don't want this navigation link to say home, all we got to do is double tap it, press hello, and boom, it's going to be ready to go. And we can customize it as much as we want. You can also easily change the color or the spacing or any fonts with the navigation bar. And same thing goes for the grid. If we want to go ahead and add it, all we got to do is press the plus button, click grid right over here, and drag it. And if we go ahead and click this icon in the top right corner, we can easily edit how many rows and columns are present within this specific grid. So with both of those things, like the grid and the navbar, we could have created them manually. However, using the pre-built tools like this is going to make it much faster for you guys to go through the process, and it's going to reduce a lot of the headaches along the way. So there you guys have it. Those are the top 5 mistakes that I would avoid when using Webflow. I hope you guys been able to enjoy this video, and if you're able to avoid the mistakes that we discussed, you're going to save a lot of time and energy when it comes to your projects. If you guys are interested in trying Webflow for yourself, check out the link down in the description for a free trial of the platform. And if you got some value from the video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this. And we also have a service link down below where we can help with the setup of your first website. Till next time, peace.